Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever felt lost, like you were just drifting with no direction? How many of you wake up every day but don't really know why you are doing what you're doing? Today I'm going to share with you the truth, the very rules that transformed an ordinary boy into a world champion, a global superstar, and a leader. And if you listen closely, these same rules can change the entire direction of your life forever. I'm here to talk about success. The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. I mean, as you know, I was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War, so I was very fortunate that I stumbled under my vision, and I didn't really like Austria when I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't see myself becoming a farmer or a worker in a factory or anything like that, even though my parents wanted me to stay there and have a normal life. But that was their vision, not mine. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. Then one day I went to school, I remember was 11 years old, and they showed a documentary about America there. They showed this documentary, the huge skyscrapers, the high rises, the huge bridges, the 6-lane freeways, and all of this stuff in this emissive. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be around here with these little farmhouses and these little buildings. I want to be in America one day after school. I walked by a store in Graz. So I went inside and I looked around, and then I saw a magazine. There's a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. Reg Park was then a 3-time Mr. Universe, and I saw him on the big screen as Hercules. I read that, and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion. Just like Rage Park, I want to get into movies. Just like Rich Park, and I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous. Just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved, because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. So people always ask me when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for gold. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that chord, to make this core, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn the score in the reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. With the age of 20, I went to London, and I wanted to Miss the Universe contest as the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And it was because I had a goal. So let me tell you something. Visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You've got to have a purpose. No matter what you do in life, you've got to have a purpose. 74% hate their job in America. Now, there's not much different when you come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they follow the score. They just aimlessly drift around. And then all of a sudden, if there's a job opening, so they get their job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore, it's work, it's not fun. So if you think about only a quarter of the people really enjoy what they're doing in life, that is unbelievable if you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing. It's like a medical student that studies and knows he wants to become a doctor. You know where to go. And the same thing is also in politics. I remember that in politics, I had a very clear vision that I will be the leader of California. This is as far as I could go because I was not born in America, so I could not run for president. So being the governor of the 5th largest state of, I should say, the largest state, the 5th largest economy in the world was for me really the ultimate title, the ultimate accomplishment in politics. So even though people came up to me and says, why don't you go and run for something smaller? You're never going to make it. I ran for governor, and then 2 months later, I became governor of the state of California again because I had a very clear vision what I'm going to do with California. So that's rule number 1. Have a vision. Rule number 2 is don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everything I ever did, the thing that they heard out of people's mouth was, that's impossible, that can't be done. Or, no, that is exactly what I heard. And of course, I proved to the people that it can't be done. So whenever someone said to me, it can't be done, I heard it can be done. When they said no, I heard yes. And when they said it's impossible, I heard it is possible. I'm a strong believer. What Nelson Mandela said, that everything is always impossible until someone does it well. I'm going to be the one who said to myself, I'm going to do it and I'm going to show it to them. Maybe it has never been done before. That's perfectly fine with me, but I'm going to do it. And I did not listen to the naysayers. It's all about the hard work that you put I said I must have been bodybuilding. I worked out 5-6 hours a day. I'm going to do the same thing now for acting. And of course, I went to college to study English. I studied the accent removal acting classes and all of this stuff all day long. I worked and I worked in the work. And within a short period of time, I made one movie called Hercules in New York, which of course went right into the toilet, but it didn't discourage me. I still had the same vision. And then all of a sudden, I did Streets of San Francisco. I did Stay Hungry and Pumping On and The Villain. And then all of a sudden, I was asked by Dino De Laurentiis at the Universal Studio to star in Conan the Barbarian. And after I did Conan the Barbarian, the director at the press conference said to the press, the director was John Malleus. He said to the press, if we wouldn't have had that, we would have had to build one. So think about that. The very body that they said can never be sold because the time is wrong. A few years later, I'm doing Conan the Barbarian, and it was the #1 hit at the box office when it came out in the summer of '82. Think about that. And the director says, if we wouldn't have had his body, we would have had to build one. So all of a sudden, my body became an asset, not a liability. And the same thing was with Terminator. After we were finished filming Terminator, Jim Cameron said to the press, if Arnold wouldn't have had that accent and talked like a machine, I think the movie wouldn't have worked. So think about that. The body and the accent that they attacked was an asset, but I didn't listen to those losers. I didn't listen to them at all. It's just the reality of it is that you cannot listen to the naysayers. So this is a very important lesson for all of you. So when someone says, no, this is a stupid idea, you, in your mind, you don't have to say, but your mind to say this of you, so what do you know? So when someone says, no, this is a stupid idea, you, in your mind, you don't have to say it back to them. But in your mind, you must say, what do you know? You have never walked in my shoes. You don't know the fire that burns inside me. You don't know the hours I am willing to put in. You don't know how badly I want this. And this is where the real difference comes in life, because the people who succeed are not necessarily the most talented, the most educated, or the most privileged, but they are the ones who refuse to accept limitations that others try to place on them. Every time someone told me I couldn't do something, it became fuel. It became a spark that pushed me to work harder, to train longer, to study deeper, and to prove that it could be done. When you live with that mindset, the world begins to open up in ways you can't imagine. Obstacles are no longer roadblocks. They are tests. They are stepping stones. They are opportunities to grow. I remember countless times being rejected for roles, told I would never be in movies because my body was too big, my accent too heavy, my name too strange. But every rejection was a hidden gift. It was a chance to sharpen my craft, to prepare for the moment when opportunity would finally meet preparation. And that's the secret most people miss. Success is never about one lucky break. It's about showing up every day, working when no one is watching, and staying ready so that when the door finally cracks open, you are prepared to walk through it with confidence. Think about it. How many dreams die not because they were impossible, but because people gave up too soon? How many people start with fire, but when the first storm comes, they quit? The truth is, everyone gets knocked down. Everyone faces failure. Everyone hears the word no. But the winners, the ones who rise above, they don't stop. They see failure as part of the process. They see no as just a delay, not a denial. They see struggle as the weight that builds their strength. That is the mindset you need to carry if you want to achieve anything great in life. And let me tell you, greatness demands sacrifice. You cannot want success and comfort at the same time. You cannot dream of building an extraordinary life while living with ordinary effort. Success will ask for your time, your energy, your sleep, your comfort, sometimes even your relationships. People will call you obsessed. They will call you crazy. They will say you are too focused, too driven. But obsession is not a curse. It is the requirement. Because only the obsessed have the discipline to push through the days when motivation is gone. Only the obsessed will keep going when results don't show immediately. Only the obsessed will endure the loneliness, the doubt, and the criticism long enough to break through to the other side. When I trained with intensity that shocked people. 5 hours a day in the gym wasn't punishment for me, it was joy. Because I knew each set was building the future I had already seen in my vision. When I studied English late at night, struggling with words and pronunciation, I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt empowered because I knew that every word I mastered was one step closer to acting roles that once seemed out of reach. When I traveled from country to country, competition to competition, often with nothing but determination in my pocket, I didn't feel fear. I felt alive because I was walking directly toward my destiny. This is what vision does. It makes the pain worth it. It turns sacrifice into privilege. It transforms struggle into meaning. Without vision, hard work feels like suffering. With vision, hard work feels like purpose. And purpose is the fuel that will carry you through when everyone else gives up. But here's another truth. You cannot just work hard in silence and hope the world notices. You must also believe in yourself loudly, unapologetically. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. When I walked into auditions, I didn't wait for people to approve of me. I carried myself as if I already belonged. When I ran for governor, I didn't campaign as someone who was asking for permission. I campaigned as someone who had a clear plan and the energy to deliver. That confidence wasn't arrogance. It was the result of years of preparation, of doing the work behind the scenes so that when the spotlight finally came, I was ready to stand in it. And you can do the same. No matter where you start, no matter how small your beginnings, no matter what people think of you now, your future is not determined by their opinions. It is determined by your decisions. Decide today that you will stop listening to the noise, stop listening to the naysayers, stop listening to your own doubts, and start listening to your vision. Let it guide you, let it pull you, let it be the compass that directs every choice you make. And remember this, discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is temporary, it comes and goes, but discipline is the daily habit of doing what must be done, regardless of how you feel. You don't need to feel inspired to wake up early and grind. You don't need to feel excited to practice your craft. You don't need to feel ready to take the first step. You just need to do it again and again and again until the repetition itself builds a new identity inside you, until you no longer ask, can I do this? But instead declare, this is who I am. Because success is not about what you achieve once. It's about who you become in the process. It's about transforming yourself into someone who no longer waits for opportunities but creates them. Someone who no longer fears rejection but uses it as fuel. Someone who no longer seeks approval but walks with certainty. That transformation is available to anyone willing to commit to the journey. There will be days when you feel invisible, when your progress is so small no one notices, when it seems like the world has forgotten you. But those are the most important days, because in those silent seasons, you are building the foundation that the world will one day see. A building is not judged by the months it took to decorate, but by the years it took to lay its foundation. Your success is the same. Stay patient, stay consistent, stay relentless. I can tell you this from experience. The world rewards those who refuse to stop. It may not happen in a month or in a year or even in 5 years, but if you stay committed long enough, if you keep sharpening your skills, if you keep expanding your vision, if you keep ignoring the naysayers, one day the world will have no choice but to recognize you. And when that moment comes, it won't be luck, it won't be coincidence. It will be the result of every single day you showed up when it was hard, every single day you worked when no one was watching, every single day you chose vision over excuses. And I want you to remember this as clearly as anything I've ever said. If you are willing to work harder than everyone else, if you are willing to sacrifice more, if you are willing to stay true to your vision when others give up, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that can stop you from building the life you imagine. So when you think about it, the voice of the doubters is always loud, but it's never accurate. People love to tell you what you cannot do because they are secretly afraid that you will prove what is possible. They live inside the cage of their own fears, and when they see someone daring to break free, they try to pull them back down. But you cannot afford to be pulled down. You must build the strength to climb higher, to rise above the noise, and to keep moving toward your vision, no matter how heavy the resistance becomes. Every great achievement in history was once called impossible. Flying was impossible until the Wright brothers took off. Breaking the 4-minute mile was impossible until Roger Bannister did it. Landing on the moon was impossible until astronauts planted a flag there. What all of those stories have in common is not that the people had fewer obstacles, but that they had greater belief and relentless effort. They ignored the ones who said, "It can't be done," and decided to live by the words, "I will make it happen." When I faced rejection early on, whether in competitions, in auditions, or in business, I had a choice. Either accept what others believed about me or hold fast to what I believed about myself. I chose the second option every time, because your own conviction must always be stronger than the world's doubt. Conviction is built in silence, in the countless hours of unseen work. It's built when you wake up earlier than everyone else, when you stay later, when you practice the same skill again and again until it becomes second nature. And when the moment finally arrives for you to show the world what you can do, that conviction shines through and no one can deny it. The path to success is never straight. It is filled with curves, with setbacks, with challenges that feel overwhelming. But each challenge is a teacher. Each setback is an invite to rise higher. When I lost, I studied why. When I failed, I adjusted my approach. When I heard no, I treated it as not yet. That mindset is what keeps you moving when others stop. It's what allows you to see a wall not as the end of the road, but as something to climb, to break through, or to walk around. There is always a way if you refuse to quit searching for it. And this is why work ethic becomes your greatest weapon. Talent can open a door, but work ethic is what keeps you inside. Opportunities will appear, but only those prepared through relentless discipline will be able to seize them. I trained my body until it became my passport. I trained my mind until it became my compass. I trained my will until it became unbreakable. That training was not glamorous. It was repetition. It was sweat. It was nights of exhaustion, mornings of soreness, moments of doubt. But on the other side of that discipline was transformation, and transformation is what success demands. You have to understand that most people will never go all in. They will work until it becomes uncomfortable, and then they will retreat. They will chase their dream until sacrifice is required, and then they will compromise. That is why the top is not crowded. The peak belongs to those who endure when others surrender. If you are willing to endure, to persist longer than anyone else, you put yourself in rare company. You give yourself a chance to live a life that others will only talk about. Another truth I discovered is that vision is not just about yourself. Yes, you need a personal goal, but you also need to recognize that your journey can inspire others. When people see you refusing to quit, when they see you pushing past the limits that they accepted, it forces them to question their own limitations. Your courage becomes contagious. Your discipline becomes a model. Your results become proofs that their excuses are lies. And that is when your vision becomes larger than your own success. It becomes a light for others still walking in the dark. But let me be clear, this does not mean you will not be criticized. The higher you climb, the more visible you become, the more people will aim at you. Criticism is the tax you pay for standing out. The only way to avoid it is to stay silent, stay average, stay invisible. But if you want to live extraordinary, you must accept that criticism is part of the price. Do not let it crush you. Let it sharpen you. Do not let it weaken your resolve. Let it prove that you are on the right path. Because no one criticizes the person who does nothing. They only criticize the one who dares to do something. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to be misunderstood? Are you willing to be doubted? Are you willing to be the one who looks foolish for a while in order to look brilliant later? If the answer is yes, then you have the potential to achieve greatness. If the answer is no, then you will stay where the majority stays, comfortable, safe, and unfulfilled. The choice is always yours. As I moved through different stages of life, athletics, acting, politics, business, the principle never changed. Vision first, hard work second, ignore the doubters third. Every time the formula worked. Not because I was extraordinary at the beginning, but because I refused to stop until I became extraordinary. That's what people don't see. They think success is talent or luck or timing. No, it is the combination of vision and unrelenting work applied over years, sometimes decades, until the breakthrough finally happens. And let me tell you, the breakthrough is worth it. The taste of victory after years of sacrifice is sweeter than anything else. The moment when the world finally sees what you have seen all along, when they call you an overnight success, but you know it was 1,000 nights of unseen effort. That moment makes every struggle worth it. But you can only reach it if you endure. You can only reach it if you never stop. You can only reach it if you keep walking when the path feels endless, if you keep pushing when the weight feels unbearable, if you keep believing when everyone else has lost faith. Because success is not for the chosen few, it is for the few who choose. The ones who choose discipline over comfort, the ones who choose courage over fear, the ones who choose persistence over excuses. That choice is always available to you, no matter your background, no matter your starting point, no matter the obstacles in your way. You decide, and your decision determines your destiny. The beauty of this journey is that every time you climb one mountain, you see another one in the distance. Success is never a final destination. It is simply a milestone that reveals a bigger challenge waiting for you. The moment you stop chasing growth, you begin to decline. That is why I never saw victories as the finish line. Winning a title was not the end. It was proof that I could set an even higher goal. Finishing a film was not the end. It was a lesson that prepared me for a greater role. Leading in one arena was not the end. It was the training ground for leading in another. You must develop the hunger that never dies, the hunger that drives you to ask, what's next? How can I grow? How can I serve? How can I expand beyond what I thought was possible? Too many people achieve one goal and then settle. They reach a comfortable place and then they stop pushing. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. The moment you decide to rest on your past achievements, you begin to lose the edge that made those achievements possible in the first place. You must protect your hunger, because hunger is the fuel of progress. No matter what you accomplish, you must remain a student. You must remain curious. You must remain willing to put yourself back into the position of a beginner, because that is where growth happens. I can tell you from experience that the greatest rewards came not when I already knew I would succeed, but when I entered into the unknown. When I took on a challenge that scared me, that stretched me, that forced me to discover new parts of myself, that is when transformation occurred. And transformation is always greater than trophies, greater than applause, greater than titles. Because titles can be taken away, applause can fade, trophies can collect dust, but who you become in the process can never be taken from you. There will be voices that tell you to slow down, to be satisfied, to relax. Once you have achieved something, do not listen to them. There is always another level. There is always another mountain. There is always another door waiting to be opened. The question is, will you dare to step through, or will you stay where it's comfortable? Growth requires risk. Growth requires stepping into uncertainty. Growth requires you to once again silence the doubters and move boldly in the direction of your vision. And let's not forget, none of this comes without discipline. Discipline is the foundation of every success story. Without discipline, vision is only a dream. Without discipline, effort is wasted. Without discipline, potential remains locked inside. Discipline is doing the work when it's hard, showing up when no one is watching, repeating the fundamentals until they become unshakable habits. People often ask for shortcuts, but shortcuts do not build character. Shortcuts do not build resilience. Shortcuts do not prepare you for the weight of greatness. Only discipline does that. Think about the athletes who train for years for a single moment. Think about the entrepreneurs who work in obscurity before their business finally takes off. Think about the leaders who spend decades learning before they are trusted with power. None of them arrived overnight. All of them paid with discipline, and that is why they could sustain their success when it finally came. The foundation built in discipline is what allows you to stand tall when storms come. Without it, you will crumble the moment pressure rises, and pressure will always come. Pressure is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are growing. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles are built under tension. Character is revealed in adversity. Do not run from pressure. Lean into it. Let it shape you. Let it carve away your weaknesses. Let it build your capacity. Every time you endure pressure, you expand your limits. Every time you push through struggle, you discover new strength. Every time you refuse to quit under pressure, you create a new standard for yourself. Another truth is that success is never achieved alone. Yes, the vision must be yours, the discipline must be yours, the resilience must be yours, but along the way you will need people who challenge you, who inspire you, who support you. Choose carefully who you surround yourself with, because your environment will either feed your vision or starve it. Surround yourself with dreamers, with doers, with people who see more in you than you see in yourself. Surround yourself with people who demand your best, who remind you of your potential, who push you higher when you feel like settling. The right environment is a multiplier of success. But never expect others to carry you. You must always carry yourself. You must always take full responsibility for your results. Blaming circumstances, blaming other people, blaming luck. These are the habits of those who never rise. Responsibility is power. The moment you take full ownership of your life, you unlock the ability to change it. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And it is your response that defines as your future. When setbacks come, don't ask, why me? Ask, what can I learn? When rejection comes, don't ask, why did they say no? Ask, how can I improve so they cannot ignore me next time? When failure comes, don't say, it's over. Say, this is part of the journey. That shift in perspective is everything. It keeps you moving forward when others stop. It keeps you building when others break down. It keeps you growing when others shrink back. As you continue on your path, remember that success is not only about what you achieve, but also about what you contribute. A life of true significance is one where your achievements uplift others, where your victories inspire others, where your discipline sets an example for others. The world is full of people who need hope, who need proof that dreams are possible, who need to see someone who turned vision into reality. Be that proof, be that example, be the one who shows what is possible when you refuse to give up. And when you look back, you will see that the struggles were worth it, the sacrifices were worth it, the discipline was worth it, because they shaped you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone capable of more than you ever imagined. And the journey does not stop there. Every victory simply equips you for the next challenge. Every accomplishment expands your capacity for the next opportunity. Every step forward prepares you for the next leap. The hunger never ends, the growth never stops, and the vision never fades.